All right, people, settle in, welcome. You've all passed the evals, you've signed enough NDAs to wallpaper a small moon, and I'm sure you've heard the rumors. Well, I'm Dr. Damian Wolf, and this is the real tour, the one that's definitely not in your welcome binder. So, let's get started.
So yeah, that's me. My official file says I'm a senior researcher with a weird knack for impossible tasks, and maybe, just maybe, an unhealthy relationship with the site's coffee machine. And you know what? It's all true. I've been kicking around these hallways for over a decade, and I'm going to be your guide to navigating the wonderful, the weird, and the occasionally reality-bending world of the Foundation.
First things first, let's talk about the people. These aren't just names on a security roster, okay? They're the brilliant, sometimes eccentric, minds who are going to have your back when things get, well, complicated. Let's meet a few of the legends.
Okay, so here you have two absolute titans of the Foundation, and they could not be more different. On one hand, you have Dr. Gears. He's pure, unadulterated logic, a brilliant, and I mean brilliant, but almost completely emotionless force. And then you've got Dr. Sophia Light. She's a site director who's just as brilliant, but let me tell you, far more frightening. She's incredibly calculating and always seems to know more than she's letting on.
And I'm not kidding about that. The man has absolutely no startle response. We had a containment breach drill one time. Alarms blaring, lights flashing all over the place. He just calmly took another sip of his decaf. He's massively influential, a total genius, but yeah, don't expect a lot of small talk. Seriously, just think of him as the Foundation's operating system. Incredibly efficient, super powerful, and without a single emoji in his entire codebase.
Now, on the complete other end of the spectrum, we've got Dr. Rebecca Harleen. If you need something, anything put back in its box, she is your person, period. She's a workaholic who literally lives and breathes containment theory. Her focus is like a laser beam, but, and this is a big but, her situational awareness can be a little lacking.
And this quote right here illustrates my point perfectly. We were reviewing some containment footage for 173. That's the statue, you'll learn all about it. And she was so engrossed in the architectural weak points of the cell that she had no idea I'd walked up right behind her. When she finally looked up, she jumped so hard she nearly took out an entire server rack. She's brilliant, she's dedicated, but maybe, wear a small bell when you approach her office.
All right, so you've met some of the staff. Now for the residents. Part of your job, maybe a big part, will be to sit across from something that completely defies nature and get it to talk. So, welcome to the fun part, talking to monsters.
This is SCP-073. We call him Kane. The man has a perfect, and I mean a perfect, photographic memory. He can absorb an entire encyclopedia in minutes. He's polite, he's cooperative, and he is an incredible asset for data retention. But getting information he doesn't want to give you, that's where it gets tricky. He has built walls higher than Site-19's perimeter fence.
That's actually how he described his memory to me once, an eternal present. He'll tell you everything you want to know about ancient Sumerian pottery, but ask him about his past, ask him about his brother, and that polite mask, it stays on, but the conversation is just over. He's a goldmine of history, but trust me, there's a deep, dark well of don't even ask in there.
So that's one end of the spectrum, right? The polite, walled-off anomaly. And then there's the other end, the one that basically views conversation as a brief, annoying pause between acts of extreme violence.
And here he is. Meet SCP-076-2, Abel. He's less of an interview subject and more of a sentient hurricane that's been stuffed into a human-shaped vessel. His only real motivation is combat. He gets bored very, very easily, and a bored Abel becomes a very, very sharp problem for all of us.
So here's the crucial thing. You can't interview him like you would Kane. You've got to be loose, disarm him with a bit of energy. But you also have to know what the red button is. And for Abel, that button is any mention of his brother Kane. I pushed it once. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees and he threatened to turn the entire facility into a tomb. So, point taken. Know the line and then stay about 10 feet behind it.
Which brings us to a really critical point. Sometimes the old rules just break. The concrete walls and the explosive collars, they just aren't enough. Our work, what we do here, demands that we completely rethink containment itself.
This concept right here is changing absolutely everything. Forget reinforced steel. We're now dealing with something called the weave. It's a fundamental fabric of reality. The easiest way to think of it is like the source code for what we call magic, and we're finding out that some people know how to edit that code. And this is where it gets real practical. Look at POI 7420, a guy named Brian Masters. He's what we've started calling an astral knight. Instead of us just building a stronger box around a problem, he uses the weave to perform, well, metaphysical surgery on reality itself. He creates shields of pure force, blades that hum with sonic energy, and he can literally stitch a dimensional rift closed. It's a whole new playbook for us.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. This is what Abel said after his first sparring match with Masters. When you have one of the most destructive entities we have in containment describing his opponent as a stabilizing unit, you know you're onto something huge. He didn't just fight Masters. He actually respected him. That's a game changer.
Of course, developing these new protocols isn't some one-person job. This is a little snippet from a memo between myself and Dr. Harleen while we were trying to document Master's abilities. As you can see, I bring the energetic, let's get this mana manual drafted approach, and she brings the cold, hard focus on facts. It's that exact balance that turns a crazy idea into a functional, life-saving containment procedure. So, let's start to wrap this whole thing up. We've covered the legends, the monsters, and even a little bit of magic, but the single most important asset here isn't any of that stuff. It's you. So here's your survival guide on how not to end up as a redacted file. So these are my rules. 1. Stay curious, because that's how we find solutions. 2. Think outside the box, because the things we keep in the boxes certainly do. 3. Trust the people standing next to you. And for the love of all that is contained, stay calm. Panic is a luxury we can't afford, and it gets people killed. And last, but definitely not least, know when to step away and grab a coffee. Seriously, burnout is a bigger threat than half the Keeters in this facility. And I'm just going to leave you with this one thought. The procedures, the walls, the doctrines, at some point, they will fail. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Something will break through that we've never seen before, and in that moment, your training manual won't have the answer. The only question that's going to matter is, what will you do next? Welcome to the Foundation. Now, let's get to work.